So, yeah, can we? Yeah, it's okay. Welcome everybody. I'm very pleased to be the moderator of this session. So I'm Suzanne Dumouchel. I'm based in Paris at CNRS, and I'm part of the board of directors of the EOSC Association. And in this session now, we will discuss, we will address EOSC beyond the research sector. That means not for the researcher, but for other target audience that we already know or we have an idea about them. The for-profit organization, for instance, the public sector organization, and citizen science, so citizens, societies, how the EOSC can also benefit to societies, and also how societies can contribute to the EOSC. And for doing so, we will have four speakers that I'm very glad to welcome, actually. We will have Elisa Cohe from the EGI Foundation to talk about the EOSC Digital Innovation Hub. Xavier Salazar, EGI Foundation as well, to present the EOSC Competence Center for Public Authorities with the example of Decido. So the two presentations will be mainly for, I would say, so private sector and public authority. And then the two last one by Stéphane Sergent about the crowdsourcing. So it's one aspect of citizen science, how crowdsourced data analysis can be launched and managed from within EOSC. And the last speaker, Andreas Matthews, that I hope he will arrive soon, will talk about the title is Towards a Citizen Science Interoperable Service in EOSC. So that's it, and now I would like to present Elisa. So Elisa is a Senior Strategy and Innovation Officer and Business Development Manager at the EGI Foundation. She contributed to the consolidation of the EOSC first under the EOSC Hub project, and now with the EOSC Future project as EOSC DIH coordinator. I guess you say it much more quickly than me. So yeah, thank you very much, Elisa, and I can maybe, it should be okay. And you can use the clicker if you want.
Okay, so, well, thank you very much, and welcome to this session. My name is Elisa Cohe. I'm working at the EGI Foundation, and today I would like to present the EOSC DIA to all of you. Well, a little bit of context, just that we want to justify also the presence here, because the private sector it's also considered in the SRIA document of the EOSC, and they. The SRIA document specifically mentioned the EOSC extend to the public and private sector and the society at large. This is the words of Karel Luyben, the EOSC Executive Board Chair in the past. And also there are specific mentions to the private sector when discussed about the different EOSC action areas. And there is one specific for widening to public and private sectors and going global. So it's emphasized that EOSC must demonstrate the value and impact that is relevant and meaningful to the diverse groups belonging to the broader public sector and the private sector, and that the scope of EOSC is widened to serve the public and private sectors. Here we see the timeline of the EOSC, and they are considering the private sector to be in the preliminary stage for mid next year in the preparatory phase. But the truth is that in the EOSC DIH, we have been working with companies already since 2018. So this is something that we want to highlight. We have this experience, and this is what we want to share with you. So what is a digital innovation hub? Well, this concept was created by the European Commission around 2016. And they are supposed to be one-stop shops to help companies to respond to digital challenges and become more competitive. And digital innovation hubs are based on four main pillars. the concept test before invest. That is, test whatever technology that you could be interested as a company. Could be robotics, could be artificial intelligence, could be some others. And experiment with them and check the main benefits that you can get from using these technologies. The second pillar is the skills and training, to be really up to date to all the knowledge that is needed to work with these technologies. The support on creating an ecosystem and these networking activities, and finally the support to help companies find investment. This is the general concept of a DIH, but what is specifically the EOSC DIH? Well, the EOSC DIH is a multi-partner organization that want to stimulate the innovation with private enterprises, but specifically focus on using the EOSC services. And these EOSC services could be related also with data, with computing, and some others. So the main objective of the EOSC DIH is to serve as an industrial engagement channel for easy projects and initiatives for engaging with the EOSC as a whole. And the target groups are mainly, well, in general, SMEs and industry, but our experience tells us that the most easy is to reach companies coming from spin-offs, startups, and these type of sectors that are probably closer to research environment and therefore probably more interested in the EOSC services that we can offer. The mission of the EOSC DIH is support the private sector to become major user of the EOSC. And the vision is that, well, enabling the private sector to make use of EOSC resources greatly increases the potential for innovation and economic impact of EOSC. So, as I told, the EOSC DIH was created in 2018 under the EOSCA project, and now we are supported by the EOSC Future project, and now we are in expansion phase. Previously, 18 pilots were supported in all the EOSC Hub projects, and now we are increasing these activities by including new partners like GMP, Open Air Technopolis, and CSC or GISC. And the services that are considered in the EOSC DIH are aligned with this concept of DIHs that we mentioned of the European Commission, the technical access, the training, the experimentation, and the community and visibility. And in addition to these services provided by the EOSC DIH itself, we are getting the support of other projects, other EOSC-related projects. Some of them, for example, comes from the InfraEOSC 07 projects. And this is the way we have to support pilots. So what is the role that we play here? We are the matchmaking tool between the projects and the SMEs. And these projects offer these EOSC services and technical support. And from the SMEs, we collect the technical requirements that they may have. We run these business-oriented pilot campaigns, and we offer this consultancy. We support them on signing SLAs. We support them also with this type of separate role. We collect the success stories and collect also feedback and the impact assessment when working with the companies. And also, if they are interested, we support them to become partners of the EOSC. In the marketplace. And this is exactly what we can see in this diagram. So the main added value of the EOSC DIH is to help EOSC to exploit the services through to the SMEs. So this means that SMEs are in the demand side. They are asking for using the services. And on the other side, SMEs can become also suppliers, because some of their services could be also interesting for research community. So in this sense, we are enriching the EOSC. I don't want to enter into details, but here we can see some of the pilots that were brought by the community. And on top we see the companies that they come from. They are from different sectors. We are in this sector agnostic. Some of them come from agriculture, from logistics, from energy. But it depends also on the pilot campaign. And also we see the logos of the providers of the services. These already started, most of them already in 2021. At the end of last year, we ran the first pilot campaign, and we onboarded 5 new pilots. Also, some of them are in the open in the open science environment, and some others again in energy and agriculture. And these are the pilots that we selected in the second pilot campaign that was run in summer, and that we started working with them in September. They are still in some onboarding phase. Some of them still needed to finalize the agreements, but you can see also the type of services that they are asking. And well, we expect to provide more information about the status of these pilots soon. Just to announce that we are going to launch the 4th round of pilots, and this means that we want to close the deadline on the 15th of December, and a webinar is going to be organized soon, so stay tuned, and we will share the information in our social media and other channels. Finally, one of the last activities that we do on the EOSC is the monitoring and evaluation framework. This is a self-assessment tool that we have for improve the quality of the activities that we do, the service that we offer. And this is composed by periodic monitoring, interviews with pilots, and a digital maturity questionnaire that is offered to the pilots at the end. And this is also based in the guidelines of the European Commission. This is our EOSC community, entering from the partners that we are providing the services, and going further to the EOSC IH community, the pilots that we support, the potential partners, and also the decision makers and potential networks that we want to collaborate with. And as we told, this is the expansion and operation of the EOS future. We have been achievements with other projects, with the regional DIHs, with other networks, and this is the huge community of companies that we have supported until now. And if we consider here the DIH numbers, we have more than 200 informed SMEs, and 43 of them has been directly supported. We have 6 collaborations with EOSC projects, and we have also 6 pilots onboarded or in process of onboarding into the marketplace. 5 regional DIHs connected, and 18 strategic partnerships. We have promoted 36 funding opportunities to our community, to the SMEs, and we have participated in 17 industry events. And if you are interested in getting involved, we are this expression of interest for new pilots that I mentioned before. You can join our community and establish a type of partnership, or we can discuss the best way. You can ask for any type of collaboration through our website. And if you are interested, if you are part of one EOSC project and you would like to get our support to exploit your services through industry, please contact us. And you can visit our booth, it's outside, and we have different demos scheduled for the coffee breaks. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Did it work? Yes.
Yeah, it's okay? Okay. Thank you very much, Elisa. Maybe we can take 1 or 2 quick questions before moving to the next speaker. Thank you.
Does this work?
Is
Questions?
there one question? Yeah? At the end of Please present yourself briefly just before.
Does this work?
Yeah,
Is it just my voice is loud? I don't know.
Hi, my name is Marta Bierens. I'm from TU Graz and I work for the EOS Focus project. I was just wondering if you have any idea of how the SMEs are divided over Europe. Is there a country that provides a lot of SMEs, or?
I cannot hear very well. Can you speak a little bit?
It should be on. Is this better? I was just wondering if you have any idea of how the SMEs are divided over Europe. Is there like a hub somewhere that you have more interaction with, or if there are certain countries that are very limited in their participation?
In participating with us, I would say that we have more companies, for example, coming from Italy, Greece, In the past, I remember from Spain, but in fact, they are quite distributed. We have also from Austria, from Netherlands, from UK. Even in the past, we have someone from the USA. So it's quite distributed. I will see that from the list right now, for example, we have an Ukrainian one, but in the East, not so many. It's true that the concept of digital innovation hubs are more extended in Central Europe. And regarding the sector, we really identified that the energy sector, for example, is quite active. Not only with our DIH. In general, in DIH, some applying to Europe funding and so, they are quite active. And there are many, many startups.
Excuse me, is there a technician around? Thank you. I think that both of them don't work.
Okay.
Yeah, hello. Thank you very much for the nice presentation. My name is Zaid Bukhars from Fraunhofer Institute in Germany.
Check. Yes.
No, I think it's this one that doesn't. Does it work?
I think it does. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So I will continue my question. So when we mention private sector and cloud data and so on, so there is always the problem of data sovereignty and data ownership. Could you comment on that?
Well, when we talk about supporting pilots, it's always that they get support on using the different services, and some of these services could be related to data. In general, we are offering them some access to or support to access some of the data, but the data belong to the EOSC community, whoever will be the research community. We have also experience working with some pilots that are already working with satellite data, but independently from us. And what we could say is that they are sometimes a bit concerned about where is going to be their data, and the policies that we are going to follow when guaranteeing also the access to data. In fact, one of the pilots that we are discussing right now, and we expect they will apply soon, is related to security, and they are interested, in fact, on running with the EOSC DIH because they want to avoid putting their data outside Europe. So this is specifically the main value that they see on using, for example, these services. So it depends also on the sector, because for some companies, if they are working in agriculture or whatever, they are not so concerned about the data. But I don't think this is a critical point right now in the EOSC DIH. It's something that we consider, but we are mainly more focused on creating awareness about the possibility to use the EOSC services and not putting the limitations before starting working.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Harald Konmeier from University in Mannheim. Just a question about the incentives. Why is a company, a small medium enterprise, going to EOSC instead of going to, I don't know, local German, Greece, whatever, cloud provider, or even to Amazon? What is the incentive for them using EOSC beside the funding in the project?
This is a classical question. Well, I would say that one of the values is, of course, accessing the EOSC-related services. So we are trying, well, and maybe I should, we are trying to face those companies that really identify needs on the EOSC services, and probably these services are not easily supported if they just go to a regional DIH, of course. For example, if we talk about some services like computing, and so that could go with Amazon, it's of course they could do it. But this is exactly one of the pillars of the DIH, is test before invest. We are supposed to support companies in a development phase. It's not a production. So they came to us to test solutions, to validate, to co-design with us. So we are in this phase of development, pre-commercial phase. And this is where they see also the value on the support that we offer. Probably later, if they enter into a production and into a really commercial status, they decided to go to Amazon, or maybe they decide to invest in their own service or whatever. So it's like the philosophy of checking or testing the facilities and the different technologies before moving forward, and definitely the technical support, the consultancy that we offer is something that really appreciates. And in addition to the technical point, we also offer these community activities and networking experiences that are much appreciated by most of the, I would say even for all of them.
Okay, I think we have to move on to the next speaker. So I would like to introduce Javier Salazar from EGI, Senior Strategy and Innovation Officer, more than 15 years as an innovation manager. So I'm going to hand over to you. I'll just get your slides up. Hang on, get the mouse. Yeah, thank you.
This one.
This is you?
Yeah.
Fine, okay.
Okay, so thank you. Can you hear me well? Okay, so we've been talking about industry. So now we jump to another user group, potential user group, that are the public authorities. So this is the presentation on the Competence Center for Public Authorities that we are creating under the SIDO project. And so first of all, some brief introduction. The SIDO is a project that is trying to implement like some solutions for doing evidence-based policy making using EOSC technologies. And it has 14 partners, and it's a good combination between public authorities, consulting, research, academia, and NGOs. Main objectives, so to bring together like public authorities and EOSC and try to see how they can leverage each other. Okay, so how can the usage of the European Science Cloud be used by the public authorities, and how public authorities can deploy like services to the citizens and policy making tools, and at the end of the day, like to create like the pathways and recommendations and to pave the way for the future use of or expanding the usage of those technologies across more public authorities. How this will be done? So specific tool or specific tools for policy making will be deployed or are being deployed via a portal, the SIDO portal, and by the realization of different pilots. So recommendations and best practices are being identified, and the citizen engagement is being encouraged. And one of the key results that I'm going to talk about is the creation of this EOSC Competence Center. And because one of the core ideas of the SIDO project is how EOSC technologies or EOSC services can be used for this sector. So Here you can see several technologies that are being used, so the cloud compute, the notebooks, the Zenodo, the Amnesia, and we are investigating how which others or how those can be brought together. Okay, so a bit of history as well and context about the EOSC and the public sector. So you already saw this slide before, and it's coming from the Strategy, Research and Innovation Agenda. And so we talked before about approaching the private sector. So how are we approaching the wider public sector? So we also must be able to demonstrate the value and impact that can be meaningful for the broader public sectors. And this is part of the objectives that are being sought on the Decido project. And we need to see the ways how to expand this. Okay. In order to do so, so it's not only to make available like the technologies, but we also need like to have like some umbrella, some devoted service or some devoted support that can help bringing those together. And this would be like the main idea of this creation of a center of competence. Okay, a bit of further context. So you have seen many labels like centers of competence, clusters, centers of excellence, networks of excellence, the digital innovation hubs. Like each of those, they have different focus. Like focus, it can be sectorial focus, it can be geographical, it can be a national focus or a community focus. Within the idea that we are developing as a competence center, we are building on what was developed in the EOSC Hub project, that it's like to create these distributed centers that are encompassing the different stakeholders, like research infrastructure, relevant experts, and technology developers, and that they can help each other to understand each other's needs and get together. So this is the main aim, to establish this bilateral collaboration. Okay, we aim to create a channel for exchange of support and technical expertise, and to be like a channel for service exploitation and further outreach of the results. Okay, so so far, like we have encountered like some relevant gaps and challenges that also encourages the creation of such a center. So on the one side, the public authorities as a user group is a very heterogeneous group. So they have many different problems in many different areas. So it's not like if you go to a sector and then you have like the similar problems that you need to study. So the range of variety and the range of topics are very, very different. And then on top of this, so the level of usage of advanced computing technologies, it depends on the public authority itself, but it's usually lacking, or it's usually quite behind. On the other side, from the EOSC side, so there is the need to develop as well, to understand what are the actual needs and what are the actual services and tools that would better help to address the public authorities. So for instance, there has been the identification of how to manage sensitive data, or how to build on related services related to those. So main stakeholders, on the one side the public authorities under technology providers, on the other side the EOSC computing providers or the technology providers. The projects in the government cluster, like in the Decido, are in the center because they are bringing together like some early adopters or early researchers in this area. And what we are aiming as the competence center is to broader and to expand and to provide the umbrella for all of them to keep on alive. The value proposition for all of them is, on the one side for the EOSC, is to expand to a new market, And for the public authorities, to let them know that they have much opportunities under the EOSC, and they could have an easy access and to technology services that they are not using at this point. As for the projects themselves, well, it's we aim to be this channel so that they can also highlight their success stories, their lessons learned, and well, to foster the exploitation across projects and farther away after the project ends. So, what can competence centers bring to EOSC? So, early adopters in this new user base area. As well, sharing the success stories, so we can increase the attractiveness of EOSC towards further public authorities, like to get them learn about. We provide exploitation channel, we provide a community engagement, and well, try to facilitate the takeoff of all these technologies across the user domain. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's 2 slides left. What can EOSC bring to the public authorities? So basically, all the services and technologies, the core services, computation, data, onboarding, discoverability, so everything that can facilitate the life of public authorities can be very welcome. And this is the last slide. So. We are, at this point, starting to build the competence center. So at this point, we are in the stage of collecting the needs, of understanding what is going to be necessary. But the main aim, or what we aim to achieve, is to create like this thematic area for EOSC to support like the whole community, okay, and create the conditions for this collaboration to keep on happening. Okay, we have created like a position paper that you can fetch from following website, and our initial activities will be like to try to collect all the lessons learned and success stories from the cluster projects, so that we can start creating the momentum for the community, and eventually we would like to also put together all the stakeholders on a workshop and as well to build something. As in general, we are looking for feedback. We want to talk to you, and any will to get engaged or anything, please get in contact with me. We can talk. I will be here. My face is recognizable, so I'm very welcome to.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Oh, Harry.
One of the examples, what you mentioned, that why this is important, is that that this will be like an attraction for EOSC. I'm just thinking a lot of these kind of, let's say, users might be coming from different countries and with different backgrounds. How much effort do you see for communicating these results to these potential users, and what languages are you using for that?
That's a very good question. So can you say your background or what?
Yeah. I am Ari Asmi, I'm the Director of Research Data Alliance Europe, but this is more of a general question.
Yeah, because I think it's really pointing out one of the issues when dealing with public authorities, actually, because they are very much local oriented, and when we talk about languages, yeah, they mainly work in their own languages, and that's one of the difficulties that when we are like trying to approach them, like if they need to engage citizen, so they do it in their own local languages, and later on, so you need like some sort of translation, so you need to keep in mind, and that's something that usually if you are coming from the technical world, you have the tool, you have everything set up, and you don't think about this because we are so used to work in our common language that we don't think that in order to make this useful, you really need to be able to get to the citizen and to get to the local items, and that's one of the challenges. Yeah.
Anything? Any other? Sorry. That's
Thank you for your presentation. There came a question in mind for me, which is public authorities or even, universities, and there are different kind of universities in Europe, the very big ones with, I don't know, computing centers with a few hundred people. And we also have other universities which are a little bit smaller. Have you ever tried to address all of them, running services for them, enabling them with fair repos, with fair, with access to the cloud, not forcing them to be a provider, but just a user of the system? Because then we gain scalability.
Okay, so as you say, or as we said, public authorities is a really heterogeneous group. I mean, it can encompass like from governments, like national governments, local governments, regional, like specific stakeholders, part of them. We usually consider universities like more part of academia. So even if it's true that they are like public and they could be seen as public authorities, we haven't considered them as a core user group for the problem or for the competence center, as we consider that they are covered, or they should be covered by the academic side. It's true that from an administration point of view, there could be challenges that could be investigated, and there could be useful that such service could also be useful. I will take note as well, and I will check. So how?
Okay, I think we move on now. Thank you very much, Javier. Thank you. So next up we have Stephen Sargent, who I know from EOSC Future, does the citizen science activities. Nice to meet you. You are based at the Open University, and you're a professor of astronomy. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yes.
Right. So please come. Do you have slides?
I do. Yes, I do.
I can't get this mouse to work. Does anyone know how to? Do I press this? Oh, they're all joined up. Okay, fine. Right. That's very organised. Is this you? I'm sorry. Okay. Apologies. Is this no?
Oh, well, that's interesting.
Are we going backwards?
Yes, let's go backwards.
Do you want to do it? I don't want to
okay.
take your...
So.
Okay. Right.
This is my glorious title slide. I guess the import of all of the PDFs didn't quite work. Never mind. Okay, so my name's Stephen Sargent. I'm going to talk about citizen science in the European Open Science Cloud. And what I'm going to try and do is convince you that citizen science is not beyond the research sector at all. It is actually part of the research sector. It's an integral part of the research sector. And I can show this with a diagram of the services that we have in our ESCAPE project, which is the EOSC cell for astronomy and particle physics. And you can see it's got virtual observatories, science platforms, data lake, blah, blah, blah. But citizen science is absolutely part of it. And to explain why, I'd like you to imagine that you have a science problem, let's say a facial recognition problem. You've got photos of crowds and you want to find the faces in the crowds because, I don't know, maybe you're looking for someone or something, right? And so you can get an off-the-shelf facial recognition machine learning tool. There are lots of them around. But let's say the data looks like this. Okay. So now you can see exactly what the facial recognition is going to do. It's going to pick out the faces, and maybe it could get some associated data. But the human being looking at this will say, there's a clown in the middle of the photo. And that's something that a machine does not have the capacity to do. Machines can't take a step back and sort of unask the question. So humans give functionality for data mining, which machine learning does not have. Okay, so it's an essential scientific tool. So, looking at the various tools that we have in data mining, there are automated algorithms. An algorithm you could design yourself, which is fast but very inflexible. There is deep learning on the other side, which is very fast and very flexible, but it needs training data. It needs large training sets. And in the middle, we have a manual classifications or citizen science, which are flexible, but I'd say inverted commas slow. It's slow in that for a single person it's slow, but there are hundreds of thousands of people who want to participate in science, and so who can actually do this very, very quickly for you. So, in terms of this schematic, let's imagine you have some data in our EOSC data lake, which you're interacting with on a science platform. I've illustrated this from our escape cell. And from that science platform, you could decide to create a crowdsourced data mining project, citizen science project. And then the volunteers, the more engaged volunteers, will be able to jump out of that citizen science project into our more accessible tools, like the virtual observatory tools. And we already have this. This is not hypothetical. This already exists. And then the most engaged volunteers will be able to, if they're savvy with coding, they could jump into the science platform. But that's a small subset. So I'm imagining experts interacting with the EOSC like this schematically. Yeah, this is an old brand. Sorry, the new logo is much more beautiful. But the experts lead the way for a much larger population of the science-inclined public. And the more distant you are from a scientific discipline, the more curated the experience needs to be for your interaction with EOSC. And so the citizen science is a route for doing that. So in order to enable this to happen, we have created some example Jupyter Notebook workflows for deploying EOSC resources into citizen science. So we have projects on a workflow on building a project on the Zooniverse platform, the citizen science platform, integrating machine learning, testing whether something to be classified has been reached a consensus or not, and so on. And we have tutorial Jupyter Notebooks walkthroughs recorded for these tutorials and speech-to-text documentation for accessibility. And now I'm going to take a huge risk and see if the video plays. I've got a 3-minute video of a demonstration written by James Pearson, who's a postdoc working on this, who, incidentally, by the way, will be, come the end of the Escape project in February, he'll be on the job market, and he's excellent. So, so let's see if this plays with sound. Sound would be nice.
Shall I go and get the 10 people who
Yes.
Okay,
Let's.
you want to go and see if I can.
Okay, since the sound is not playing, I will skip ahead and we will maybe come back to this video if it turns out to be possible. Instead of giving you walkthroughs on all of these different things, I would like to show you, because it can be I could fill the entire slot with just walking you through Jupyter Notebooks, but I want to show you instead some of the applications, some of the things, places where it works. So we have a citizen science project on looking for clumps in galaxies. So looking for where stars are being born in galaxies. So looking for blue clumps. So we have an example object here, and you would want it to be picking out these features here. So that's what the experts would say. And you'd want the volunteers to be coming out with classifications like that, but what you actually get is something like this. So it looks people click everywhere. So so you need to work out where the consensus is. And so we have a mathematical formalism for establishing consensus and working out the quality of the volunteer classifications, which I won't go into. It's full of hard sums. There's a paper there if you would like to read it. And the bottom line is it turns this into something like this. So it works very well. So we have this particular citizen science project has been very, very successful. 35,000 clumpy galaxies, 100,000 clumps detected, and already released its first catalogue paper. But this is very useful for then training machine learning algorithms. So we can go from a few tens of thousands of galaxies via citizen science, have training data, which you then roll out into deep learning, which is fast and flexible, and then you can have millions of galaxies that you can classify. And so far, a simple generic deep learning model has found 4 times as many clumps as our Clump Scout volunteers. So, in summary here, we have 100,000 potential clumps, 80,000 galaxies inspected, 2 papers out now, and a machine learning model trained, and a 3rd paper in preparation, and these are the papers there. Meanwhile, also, we have, we're rolling this out to other discipline areas. We have a knitting patterns project, knitting patterns in domestic magazines, and an African indigenous knowledge project for resilient food systems. The Knitting Patterns project, it's a citizen science project. Well, sorry, the African Indigenous Knowledge Project is to take local knowledge on food preparation and take the photos, the written accounts, and create a homogeneous database, and then roll that information out more widely, because some of the knowledge is very geographically localized. So there is Sustainable Development Goal objectives there. The Knitting Patterns project, it's related to what I believe are called 20th century domestic magazines. So these are magazines that have, for example, knitting patterns in them, and there's a lot of social subtext for social scientists and social historians. So we need humans to describe the completed items, the materials, the cost of the materials, the complexity of the patterns, whether it's aimed at children, whether it's aimed at adults, the final product, and so on. And there's a great deal of information there. So, the sound technicians are here. So, should we have a go and see if we can get some sound working? Because this was, I would like to show you this glorious walkthrough. And another thing I have is I have a 60-second promotional video, but I don't know whether we will have time for it. So, okay. Okay, so we got sound.
So can we try this out?
Let's give it a go. Ooh. Right. So okay. Boom.
In this video, I'm going to demonstrate using ESAP to build one of our easy-to-use people-to-notebook tutorials to aid in the management of Zynga's citizen science projects. For example, from the ESAP interface, shown here, I can click the Interactive Analysis tab at the top and select Bundled Jupyter Notebooks to search through the list of interactive analysis workflows stored on ESAP. I will search for Zooniverse, in this case, and select the Advanced Project Building tutorial. I can also follow the link, shown here, to the GitLab version, where I can open up the notebooks folder, the notebook itself, and view the contents of the tutorial to check that it is the one that I want. Going back to the ESAP interface, I could then click Next and select a compute facility. In this case, I will choose to deploy it to a MyBinder instance. So this then spins up a binder containing the workflow. You can see here, we've loaded the right one, the Advanced Project Building workflow. Once it loads, I'm presented with the Jupyter Lab instance containing the workflow with the necessary files available here on the left. I'll zoom in a bit as well. So on the right is the tutorial notebook ready to use. So to begin, I can import the modules, define a suitable directory for the data, and load the Zooniverse's Panoptes Python client. I can then input my Zooniverse username and password.
Everyone's password is ...
Check that it has worked. Then I can put in my project ID, which in this case is the ID of a practice project I've made. And I can check that I'm loading the right one. Yeah, I can see here that I've got the name, description, and introduction. They're all correct. Now I can create a new subject set using the Python API. So let's call it, say, Python demo set 2. Link it to the project, and save it, and check that the response here is correct. Yep, there we go. It's loaded the correct information, so it's all working so far. Now to add subjects to this dataset. This tutorial provides some images and metadata for you to practice with, so I'll load those, and then add them to the subject set with the metadata. Right, now that that's done, we can add them officially. And then we can go to the Zooniverse project builder. Looking at the same project, we've got the project number there. Under the subject sets tab, I'll refresh the page. And we can see, there it is, the new data set, Python demo set 2. It's stored all the images along with their metadata. Right, so coming back to the tutorial, there's so much more to see, both in this tutorial and the other tutorials, but I'll leave them for you to try out.
Brilliant. And so we would very much like people to be using this stuff. So one thing we've been exercised with is what is limiting the take-up of crowdsourced data mining in the European Open Science Cloud. Maybe trust in the reliability of it. Maybe seeing stuff work will really help. So we need more exemplars. So we need to build more of these exemplar projects. We'd like to improve the integration with other EOSC services. Maybe we should be having more open data standards in fairsharing.org, and we've actually made a start on that just at this conference. I would love to see a dedicated EOSC task force for citizen science. And maybe looking into the future, for the future funding calls, we'd be looking at funding a science analysis platform for interdisciplinary citizen science. This was my thank you and goodbye slide, of which you can see almost nothing. 1 minute for a promotional video? Okay, let's see.
9 minutes on it.
All right, okay, so this is a promotional video that we had made to explain the link between citizen science and machine learning.
60-second adventures in artificial intelligence. Chapter 3. Humans teaching AI. Though they've got intelligence in their name, AIs are born stupid and learn slowly. AIs need to be shown masses of example data, while humans can learn their skills from just a few examples. But once they've finished learning, AIs can be impressive. Recognizing a cat would be relatively easy for an AI. The internet has millions of cat pictures because people just love cats. But when AIs look at something rarer, like a green pea galaxy, the data just isn't available, which is where citizen scientists come to the rescue. Because humans are good at identifying unfamiliar things, thousands of volunteers and researchers can look through data online and label items that the AI doesn't recognize. And once the AI has the correct data, it can get on with its work. Until the next time it needs some help. To find out more about how AI is helping scientists understand the universe, visit projectescape.eu/AI.
Boom, that's it, thank you.
Stephen, thank you very much. That's great. Clown in one. Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any questions directly now for Stephen before we move on to discussion? Wider discussion. Has he taken your breaths away? Great. create videos.
Doesn't have to be. We're a bit behind schedule as well.
Well, we have half an hour.
Oh.
Yes, we have about 25 minutes. So we have the fourth speaker hasn't appeared, so we can now.
Back, I think.
Is somebody here? Is the speaker here? Ah, please come. Sorry, I didn't realise you were here. Let me introduce you. Sorry. Andreas, my apologies. I didn't see you here.
No
beginning,
worries,
so
no
I'm
worries,
sorry.
no worries, no worries.
Now, you are based in an SME in Germany
Yes.
called Secure Dimensions. That's very interesting. You have 10 years of experience in geosecurity.
Mm-hmm.
So I gather I think your slides are
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is this you? You say if you see your...
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So, all right.
I leave it to you to
Thank you very much.
take over. Okay.
So, thank you very much. Before I begin, 10 years in security doesn't count here because this talk is not about security, so you can relax. And Stephen, thank you very much for your presentation, showing us that there are so many great, really great citizen science results out there, but how to get it, how to put it together. This talk is going to give you one example of our idea how we think to improve, get the citizen science data out of their silos and help researchers to really use them. Okay? So this title is long, it has interoperability in it, it has interdisciplinary in it, it has EOS in it, it has citizen science in it, so all the buzzwords ticked right on the welcome slide. Okay, if you look a little into the motivation of this work, then it's quite clear that, and I don't have to stress this very much, I guess, so great things happening in citizen science. Yes, people are much better than AI, they're a little slower, but, so we have great results, we have really, it's amazing if you go on the internet and Google for results on citizen science, what you can all find, it's crazy. But, unfortunately, all this sits somewhere and it's only accessible through an API. So in this example that we just saw on the video, I use my project with my API on my Jupyter notebook. Yeah, great. But what if I want to use it? So then I need to understand what is going on, what's the data structure, what's the API, how do I do this, what does he mean with this particular variable name, what's the definition, and so we quickly found in our project here that it's really diverse. It's so many things out there and so many APIs, and they're all specific to the theme of the citizen science project. And there are lakhs of common functionality in the APIs. So if you want, for example, give me all citizen science results within a particular area, then only a few APIs support that. You can, by theme, you can parse, you can find things by name, by identifiers, by characteristics, by all this. But if you want to say, give me everything within this boundary, it's very limited that an API actually does that. So we created something that we call Star Plus, and I explain to you on the next slides why Star Plus is the name or the acronym. So in the Cost for Cloud project, we have developed an extension to an existing standard in the Open Geospatial Consortium called Sensor Things API. So this basically is something that allows you fair data exchange, so finding, accessing, interoperable, reuse, and all that. So for geospatial data, for observations that have a location. So this framework does naturally give you an API that includes, you can search for an area. You can say, give me everything in that location or around here. So it's really great, but what we found is that there is the citizen missing in the standard. So the Sensor Things API does everything great for the data itself, so things that coming out of sensors, but in citizen science, it's users. So there is someone creating an observation, so they own it, they have it, it's theirs. And if I want to reuse it, then I need perhaps to say, okay, this observation is by Joe, because Joe's observation has a license on it, which is CC BY, for example. So if I want to reuse the observation of a frog done by Joe, I need to give Joe credit when I do that. So if I write a research paper and I use his data, I need to say, thank you, Joe, for making this, and Alice and Bob and all the others, right? So we need to represent the citizen, the user, the active person in the data model and on the API. So that's where this extension came along, and we called it Star Plus, which actually is an extension to a generic data model. It has a real great API, a powerful API, and it's based on an existing standard. So here is an example of that it really supports finding things by boundary, by geolocation. So we applied our model, we implemented it first, and then we applied it to different data sets, and we compared those data sets in one common browser API. So it's a web application. The application is based on Leaflet, and it's just 15 lines of code or something. And with that, you can go to two different data providers, or citizen science providers, and you can see their data using a common API, a common data model with 15 lines of code in an application with no big hassle. And because it supports bounding box search, you can really do a map view on the things. That's great, because the original APIs don't support that. So if you go to the original portals, you cannot create a viewer like that, because they don't have an API where you can say, give me everything here or there. So you cannot geolocate things on a map. So, and what else? No, this is okay. So to the extension itself, a little introduction to what it all is. So as I said, it extends the OGC Sensor Things API, which is a standard, and you can click the first link. That is an extension to yet another standard, which is called OData, originally created by Microsoft years ago, and then given to OASIS and ISO. So there is OData underneath, and then there is this OGC standard on top, and we put another extension on top of that. So at the bottom line, you have OData, so support from Microsoft tooling. So then I found recently that, the Sensor Things API is a download service in Inspire. Oh, that's great. So if we put an extension out there, that extension would also qualify, I guess. So then there are other links on the Sensor Things, so you can go there and see all the great things that other people actually do with these standards. And yes, there are 2 implementations out there, and I had a chat with the gentleman from Fraunhofer yesterday already. So yes, there's an implementation based on a Fraunhofer framework that is heavily used on the planet for Sensor Things API. So that is that. Here an example of how to actually get the data with real different tooling, without the need to understand the API, the data model, because it is all self-explanatory. It's based on standards. So this little graphic, I leave that for you. You can download the slides later, and you can go through this infograph that we created, and it's available from the Course for Cloud website. So it explains why you should consider to use Star Plus when you're dealing with citizen science and not want to be alone. You want to share your data with other people. You want to make it available in EOSC, for example, which brings me to one of the next slides. So we have created Star Plus, and it is an extension, a generic extension to Sensor Things. It can not only be applied to biodiversity, which was our use case in the project. We think it's more generic, so you can apply it to whatever data model you want, so long it's observations and it's kind of sensor data. We think that this extension really improves to bring citizen science and research in EOSC together. And we found that we think it's applicable to different communities like Inspire, citizen science in general, the world of digital twins, smart cities, where you all have to have these generic data models and APIs to actually describe your things. So we see very broad uptake of this. The next work, the future work that we are looking at, thank God we found a follow-up project. So the existing project is closing out, but there is another one starting in January, which is a Horizon CL622 governance project. Whatever that means, you probably understand better than I do. But important is it starts in January 23. It gives us another 4 years to actually make our dream come true and register a Star Plus service in EOSC to help the citizen science community to exchange their information and make it available to EOSC researchers. Doing that, we have a little few things already on the agenda. So we want to do this with air quality data, because the new project is coordinated by NILU in Norway, so in Oslo, and it's about air quality. So the topic will be air data. And guess what? There are so many different already existing citizen science portals that offer air quality data and different APIs. So we're going to jump into the pool, but just to use another topic, another theme. So air data is going to be the thing. And because we have the UCD in the consortium, so University College Dublin, we have a use case in Dublin on air quality. They have weather stations, they have all the stuff there. So the use case is probably going to take place in Dublin. We are already working on standardization of Star Plus. So if you want to know what it really is in detail and you want to shape this, or you just want to know where it is, what it is all about, there is the link to the Open Geospatial GitHub repository. It's open, you can go there and check it out. There are things like improvement. So scalability, for example, is always important when you have an idea and you have one proof of concept service and now you want to make that available really for users. Then scalability, does it count? I mean, does it hold? What do you need to do? In 2 weeks, there is next week or in 2 weeks, there is an OGC code sprint in Brussels where I'm going to go and we're going to talk about tiling. So how to make tiles of this API, which is not supported at the moment. So you see there is very many stuff for us that we want to achieve. But finally, and that's the big thing at the bottom there, we like to register a Star Plus service in EOSC to really help people and other projects and researchers come together on citizen science, and perhaps it's going to be on air quality, but we will see. So final slide is thank you very much, muchas gracias, because I give this talk on behalf of my other colleagues at CREAF. So thank you, Kaori, for listening. And so Kaori actually here. Joan is at home. So the three of us, we have our heads around this. So if you want to know more about this, you can fire your questions now or send us an email later. Thank you very much.